and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, to each and every one of you as we have to get ready for the Super Cup semi-final. It is Athletic Club against Barca on Wednesday in a very, very big and tricky game for us. We're going to be talking all about that today, along with the latest on Dani Olmo and Pau Victor's registration situations. But also today, guys, remember, the January window, it is open and it is in full flow. So we will have transfer news as well today, talking about Nico Williams, talking about big news surrounding Ronald Araújo, and links as well to Jhon Duran. That is all coming up for you. Get ready for it. Sit yourselves down. And let's do this. But indeed, guys, today's video is coming to you courtesy of the SofaScore app, where, as you can see, you can not only vote on who you think is going to win the game, you can there cast your vote. And I'm going to go, spoiler alert, with a Barcelona victory, I hope, in this game. But also, as you can see, you can check the TV listings where the game is being broadcast in your country. That might be really, really important for this particular game. And you can even go as well on a chat during the match and before to engage with fellow fans there. So if you would like to download the SofaScore app, you can use the link in the description down below. That is a big help to the channel, and hopefully ahead of games like these, it'll be a big help to you. Because certainly, guys, right here when it comes to the Super Cup, it's always an interesting time here. It's at the very beginning of a new year. It's sort of a new start here for Barca, and you kind of want to kick off with a trophy if you can. You want to try and go and get that and start in a really positive way. And of course on Wednesday, it's Barca against Athletic in the one semi-final. In the other there, it's going to be Real Madrid up against Mallorca. So Barca here have got the more difficult game. We've got the Copa del Rey winners, but there is, again, the potential of a Clásico final, which would take place this coming weekend. But of course, it's all eyes on this game. You've got to get through the semi-final first of all. And can I just say, guys, the opposition that we are facing here, they are very, very tricky opponents in this match. Because right here, you're looking not only at their form in La Liga, but also over in the Europa League as well. They have been outstanding this season. Under Ernesto Valverde in La Liga, they're in the top four. They are really fighting there for Champions League football. And in the Europa League, they are second. You know, out of all of those teams, a really big format, of course, there as well. They are second in the table and unbeaten in that competition. And even in La Liga, their only losses this season have come against Barca, against Atletico Madrid, and against Girona, when they missed 2 penalties in one game. And remember, back in December, they actually beat Real Madrid. So Athletic here, they are full of confidence. They have really, really been firing, and they have history to fall back on. And I mean here in terms of head-to-head meetings against Barca in cup competitions, because there's an extraordinary stat right here. In our last 5 cup games against Athletic, we've lost 4 of them. 4 out of the last 5 we have been defeated by Athletic Club. And many of those as well, guys. Looking at the kind of games, the kind of results here, it's been agonising defeats. You know, extra time. I remember lots of injuries as well happening in some of these games. Of course, we did beat them in the Copa del Rey final very, very well indeed. But they did beat us in this competition, in the final, of course. Remember when Lionel Messi got sent off in that match, and they've had lots of Copa del Rey wins against us too. So Athletic here, they cannot be underestimated. I do not expect Barca to underestimate them. We know how good they can be. We know how good they are right now. And Hansi Flick will know we need to play well, and we absolutely must put all of the noise that we've been hearing behind us, which I know is not easy. Because indeed, guys, speaking about all of that noise that of course has been going on, we do have to talk about what is happening with Dani Olmo, with Pau Victor. Of course, we know they cannot play in this game because they are not registered. And is that likely to change anytime soon? Is there still any hope at all that we could be welcoming them back into the squad, and maybe even in time for the Super Cup final? Well, right here today, it all kicks off for Barca. The really important business there in the courtroom, it's all underway today, and Barca will formally request an emergency injunction from the court today. I mean, right here on the channel, guys, every single day I feel more and more like a lawyer. You know, I don't want to be looking up these terms, but here we are. And from what we are hearing, if that emergency injunction is indeed granted, then Barca would actually receive a response in their court case in just 3 to 4 days, meaning that if Barca were successful in court, then yeah, technically, Olmo and Pau Victor, they could become available even in time for the weekend, for the final there of the Super Cup. But it is possible too that Barca could only be granted a standard injunction. That would mean the response time there would be around 15 days, 2 weeks or so before we got an actual answer. But again, guys, the most important thing here, it's not necessarily about the time, it's about us being successful. Barca's appeal in the court there to register Olmo, it apparently has 52 pages and more than 60 documents are going to actually be submitted to the court in order to really make our case. And we have to win this time around. This is absolutely massive for Barca. These are really, really important days to come. And I think you'd also, guys, hypothetically here speaking, if it is to be successful, we're talking here about getting them back for the weekend. I think the players, in all honesty, if they are able to play in the end, they'll need a minute, to get back into the right frame of mind, because I cannot imagine at all that it's been easy for them, being on the sidelines, being in training, but not really knowing if they're going to play, and if they're going to play anytime soon, really. So they are going to need some time to just get back into the swing of things, but that is providing that Barca are successful in court, and that will be decided this week. But indeed, what that means then is that Hansi Flick will not be able to call upon Dani Olmo or Pau Victor in Wednesday's game against Athletic. So what is going to be the starting lineup? How is Flick going to play this game? I would expect it to be his absolute strongest team. I know the Super Cup here seems to be very important to Barca. I'm sure they're in terms of the prize money in one aspect. That's going to be an important thing for the club. But also, like I say, in terms of that silverware, they want to get trophies in the cabinet. And Hansi Flick will want to make sure here that he can make a success of this competition. So I think it's going to be Iñaki Peña back in goal, of course. He got a rest there in the Copa del Rey, but I would expect him to come back in. And then, of course, you got Jules Koundé at right back, and he is one of those players definitely in this Barcelona team right now. I want their best version, their absolute best version in 2025. We know what he's capable of. We know the kind of quality player that he is, and we have to be seeing that yet again now into this new year. And then at centre-back, Pau Cubarsí, it actually came out this week, guys, that Hansi Flick sees Cubarsí in terms of the centre-backs at Barca the very, very best one. He sees him as his number one centre-back at the club right now, which is extraordinary given his age, the quality that he's shown. So he's going to be starting there most likely alongside Íñigo Martínez. I wouldn't expect Araujo to start in this game, and we are going to come on to talk about him very, very shortly. I'd expect Balde there to complete that back four, which we hope will be really strong and watertight again. And then in midfield, though, it starts to get interesting with the absence there of Dani Olmo in that central attacking position, because you've got a few options there for what you could do. You could play Marc Casado alongside there either Gavi or Frenkie de Jong, possibly Gavi pushing for that starting role right now alongside Casado, and then what you could do is just play Pedri more advanced further forward in that 10 role. But there is also the option that you bring in Pablo Torre. He could also play in that 10, and then you could play Pedri in a more natural role for him, I would say, a little bit deeper in midfield. He sees a bit more of the ball there. That's where he wants to be. So you could bring in Pablo Torre, who's been in such good form. But then I would also make the argument, well, if Lamine Yamal is not quite ready to start, which I think many of us believe, okay, let's not push him. He could return in this game. He could come back. But is he going to be right there from the start? And if he isn't, you could actually play Gavi and Pablo Torre there. You could have Gavi alongside Casado. You could then have as well Pedri push more advanced, but you could also include Pablo Torre, who's actually shown that he can play well, out in wider areas. I think Fermin Lopez has struggled in those kind of positions, but Pablo Torre looks a lot more comfortable with Rafinha and Lewandowski. But in my opinion, guys, looking at the way that things have been done so far this season, I think Yamal will start this game. Whether or not we agree with it, I think he will be there in the starting lineup. I think we probably will see Gavi and Pedri in this game. I'm still not sure as to whether Flick will start Pablo Torre, but I'd love to see it. And Rafinha and Lewandowski are going to be absolutely key in this game, and particularly Lewandowski. He's another player here. We need more. We need better in 2025. And I actually hope here that Lewandowski has just had a bit of time over the Christmas period just to get a bit of rest there, to try and maybe recover something. I think that's why he actually played in the Copa del Rey. I think that's why Flick put him out there, to try and get a bit of confidence back, a bit of goal-scoring touch there. He scored twice in the Copa, But we need the goals here. This is a big game. It's an important game. We need Lewandowski to be clinical, and we again are counting on him. But indeed, guys, if we do move on to talk now about some transfer news surrounding Barca right now, and particularly looking at this game here, well, all eyes again, they are going to be on Nico Williams, because it's quite interesting to hear some of the rumours that we're hearing in the media, and we've heard quite a few times now over the past few months since the summer that Barca, they are still interested in Nico Williams. And I know we've heard a lot about, well, the door was shut in the summer, it was now or never, once this train leaves the station, we'll never come back for you. But I kind of always doubted that. You know, if Barca like Nico, if they like the profile, if they like the kind of player that he is, I think there is a chance that we go back for him. I think there's a chance that we are still looking at him. And I think it's also interesting, guys, right now to discuss, really, is there more of an understanding maybe from the Barca fan base towards Nico now, based on what we've seen with Dani Olmo? You know, that whole situation there. The fact that even in the summer, it was a difficulty to register him. We only managed to register him, really, because Christensen got that long-term injury. And now, of course, look what's happened in January. Can you maybe understand why Nico had some doubts? You know, why all summer long, I think a lot of him wanted to come. I think there was a real big part of him that looked at Barca, looked at that combination with Yamal and his Spanish teammates. He wanted to be here, but he was delaying it and delaying it and delaying it, probably thinking, well, can this actually happen? You know, because I don't want to say I'm leaving the club of my life, you know, the one my brother is at, the one all my family are really, really surrounding. I don't want to up and leave, and then in just a few minutes, actually, I can't be registered. You know, Barca can't actually make this deal happen. So maybe is there more of an understanding right now towards Nico from what happened in the summer? You know, that's something to debate. But right now this season, he's not actually been in incredible form. You know, only 1 goal and 3 assists in La Liga so far this season. He's a very big part of their team. He's always an integral part of their lineup. He's always the man to watch. But he hasn't actually been able to produce too much in terms of that end product this season. And he will be looking for something here. We will have to keep tabs on him, but would you like to see Nico at Barca in the future, or has that ship sailed? Because I would also like to talk quickly here about Heung-min Son, because there have been plenty of links actually over the past few days. Lots of people saying, you know, are Barca interested in Son? What do you make of these Son rumours? Of course, he is a very natural left winger. You know, he's the kind of person that we want on the left. A very dangerous player there, somebody who can score, somebody who can provide assists as well, and just be a difference maker on the left-hand side. Just adding quality-wide players to our squad is essential. Apparently, Son has been offered to Barca through intermediaries. And let me just stress, guys, it's not necessarily here that Barca have approached Son, have approached Tottenham with interest. It's actually their side, Son's side, that have approached Barca here. And it's interesting this morning that Tottenham actually triggered a 1-year extension in his deal. That means now that he won't be a free agent in the summer. That was really what maybe Barca could have been looking at. That contract now will run until 2026. It's still possible that he could leave the club this summer, maybe at a cut price as well. You know, Tottenham are struggling right now, a lot going on there, and their season is not going well at all. Son actually might want to play European football next season, which looks very, very unlikely at Tottenham right now. But guys, he's 32 years old, not going to be a free agent, so Barca, I'm not quite sure we'll be exploring this one any further. But what do you think there in the comments? But how about another man from the Premier League? How about a forward here, who I've got to say, really does excite me? Let's talk here about Jhon. He is a 21-year-old Colombian international. Now, he's somebody that Barca have already, even before now, they've already been linked with before. I think there is genuine interest there from Barca, and in front of goal, this man is electric. In terms of finishing there, in terms of how natural he looks in front of goal, it's so instinctive. You know, he gets chances there, and in a split second, he's put them away, and it looks so good. And all different kinds of goals as well. This is not just somebody who operates in the 6-yard box. You know, he has scored absolute screamers. You know, from miles out, he can shoot, he can score. He is a really, really good goal scorer, and he has been used a lot this season off the bench by Unai Emery. He's been pushing for more of a starting role, but apparently right here, and as we're hearing in the past 48 hours or so, Barca have now spoken with Duran's agent, and he has made no secret, the player, of the fact that he'd be open to leaving Aston Villa. That I think ultimately he knows there are big offers that are going to be waiting for him. PSG apparently are also very, very interested, but apparently Duran, he would love to play for Barca one day, and Aston Villa would be happy with an offer apparently of around 60 million euros. You know, guys, buying players players from the Premier League, it's never ever going to be cheap, especially if they're a club like Aston Villa. We have done business with them in the past, though that would be maybe an interesting part of it. But what do you make of Jhon Duran? For me, he's a really exciting forward. I think there's still plenty for him to improve upon. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think at times he's quite raw right now. He's still learning a lot about the game and a lot about being a centre forward at the biggest of clubs, but the potential is there. And in front of goals, some of the finishes have been extraordinary. But okay, guys, what we have to talk about now is Ronald Araújo. And this is a really interesting rumour that actually doesn't come from within Barcelona. It doesn't come there from the Catalan media. This one is coming direct from Italy. In terms there of Gazzetta dello Sport, they say Juventus want to sign Ronald Araújo. And not only just, with a view to the future, at some point Juve want Araujo. No, they want him now. They say that in the January transfer window, Juve want to sign Araujo. They have spoken already with his agent. And the big news on my part, I believe is, apparently Araujo has given his approval that he would join Juve if they can agree a deal with Barca. Now, right now, these are only just rumours. We don't know too much into that. We can't really look too far into it either. But I think it's interesting and definitely worth discussing, because right now, in the Italian media, they keep talking about a loan. They keep saying that Juve are going to approach Barca and they try and agree a loan deal for Araujo in January. I mean, really, why would we loan out Araujo in January? Now, it's possible that it could be a loan deal with an option to buy, or maybe an obligation to buy. And of course, we know, by the way, Araujo's contract, it's winding down. Come the summer, he'll be entering the final year. That is worrying for Barca, and that is far from ideal. Now, we also know that in the past, Juve and Barca, they've done some interesting deals together. And by that I mean, remember the Pjanic-Arthur Melo kind of swap deal? I mean, that was a really, really interesting time in terms of transfers, but it's going to be interesting to see what sort of talks take place between Barca and Juve, if anything. Is this rumour true? Has Araujo really given his approval to join Juve? Do you believe that, guys? Could you believe this kind of rumour here? Can you believe that Araujo would be open to leaving the club, guys? So there's plenty here in today's video for you to discuss in the comments down below there, from the important game against Athletic Club. Let's hope there we can win the semi-final, get to the final and compete for a trophy. And do let me know on all of the transfer news there that we have discussed in today's video. Please also download SofaScore using the link down below and stay well updated throughout all of these games this season. I will catch all of you soon with the big match review. But until next time, guys, as always, Vesca, Real Barça.